One game that's been memed to hell and back is Huniepop, and it's not hard to see why. It's a lighthearted dating simulator with a wide variety of attractive ladies, doesn't take itself too seriously in the slightest, and has a lot of, interesting unlockable images to keep you motivated. Now, these things that I just mentioned are nothing special, at least not on their own. It's actually fairly common for individuals to make porn and then slap on some dating sim tropes and memes. It basically allows them to avoid a lot of the difficult parts of making a good game while still retaining the core appeal of an adult game, which is the fact that you're rewarded with titties. Now, if you like that, great, more power to you. But for me, that's not really enough to entice me. I've said it before, but it doesn't matter to me if a game has or doesn't have sexual content. It's not an automatic win for me, but it's not a deal breaker either. It may be what sparks the initial interest because, let's be honest here, I'm a 24-year-old straight dude, but porn plus what barely passes for gameplay just doesn't do it for me. But here's the thing, Huniepop is actually, legitimately, a good game. So in addition to being a dating sim, Huniepop is a match 3 game. Match 3 is one of the more popular varieties of puzzle game. If you've ever played things like Candy Crush, Bejeweled, or Puzzle Quest, you know how they generally work. I don't particularly love or hate this style of game, though it does tend to be a good time waster, and if it's made well, I can definitely get into it. Huniepop, while not perfect, is one of the best match 3 games I've ever played. In fact, it was actually the gameplay that kept me interested and not the high quality artwork. And let me tell you, I find some of these girls quite attractive. So one of the things people need to understand about match 3 in general before I can really go into detail is they're not all alike. Each one has a specific thing they want you to focus on, which will drastically alter your decision making. For example, Candy Crush likes combos, where you gain big multipliers when the gems fall to create a new match. This makes the ideal scenario, at least from a points perspective, that cascading series of matches that you sometimes see. You Must Build a Boat has more of a focus on making matches as quickly as possible because you're not limited by moves, but by time. So you'll want to match the first thing you see so that not a second is wasted. Huniepop wants you to focus on 4 and 5-piece matches. For starters, you'll get a solid multiplier on the match itself. However, in addition to that, bigger matches increase the chance of spawning a power token, which is basically just a normal tile that gives you more points. And as you might imagine, getting a 4 or 5 match with a power token is worth a lot of points. Additionally, some of the gifts you obtain, more on those a bit later, grant special effects when you make 4 or 5 token matches. Now, I think all these different styles of match 3 have merit and are fun in their own right. However, Huniepop's style of focusing on big matches tickles my fancy, much in the same way that Tiffany tickles my... What? No? Okay, fine. Turns out that joke was in poor taste even by my standards. But for real, I do like this style of match 3 a lot, and it synergizes well with Huniepop's control scheme. While it's far from universal, match 3 games typically work on a system where your move consists of swapping 2 adjacent tiles to make your matches. Huniepop allows you to take a tile and move it as far as you want horizontally or vertically. This allows for a bit more of a strategic feel to the game. Of course, just like any match 3, luck is going to factor fairly heavily, but I find myself thinking about my moves in Huniepop more than in other match 3 games, which I personally find more satisfying. Of course, this is purely a matter of personal preference, but when I'm playing a puzzle game, I like having to actually make deliberate decisions the whole way through. Since you get this relative freedom in how you want to make your moves, it's easier to get those big matches than in other games, which can in turn snowball you towards a victory, especially once you get some of the later upgrades which make big matches almost guaranteed to spawn a power token. In Huniepop, I typically try to set up certain situations and matches that'll benefit me, while in other games I just make whatever seems to be the best immediate move and hope that the tiles happen to fall in the way I need. Again, this is very subjective, but I personally love it. And now I have to talk about how Huniepop utilizes its dating sim elements. So, like most dating sims, there are gifts you can buy to make the girls happy, and you can learn random trivia about them such as their height or favorite color, which you may later be quizzed on. And through this, you'll get points used to upgrade your character. While this makes the puzzle portion easier, it's not actually the way to progress in the actual game. It's more something you do along the way. The actual puzzle portion is the dates. If you can score a certain number of points, you have a good date and you can progress in the relationship. Fail and you don't progress, though you still get a little bit of money for your troubles. Complete 3 dates and then a night date to do the diddly. Once you get with all the girls, you can keep playing, but the game is considered complete at that point. So everything there meshes pretty nicely. Go on dates to progress and to get money, spend that money on gifts for points to upgrade your character, which in turn helps you go on more dates. And there's also a nice little thing about these gifts. See, when you give somebody a gift they love, you'll get something in your inventory known as a date gift. These are items that can be used during dates for special effects, and they can really change the game up. And for clarity's sake, I'll just point out that these gifts can only be used once per date, but you get them back afterwards. These gifts have a variety of effects, from mundane things like clearing a row of tiles to really useful shit like turning all broken heart tokens, which make you lose points if you match them, into joy tokens, which give you extra turns when matched. But there is one combination of gifts that is honestly kind of overpowered, but really fun. And for reference, the developer made a post-game option where the games continuously scale up in difficulty. He made an arbitrary cap at stage 100 because he assumed that there would be literally no way to get to that point. Well, he didn't account for how stupidly good the pearl necklace is, and it's an actual necklace made of pearls, by the way. But to explain that, I have to explain how date gifts work. One of the tokens you can match is these blue teardrop tokens called sentiment. Doing this gets you no progress towards your goal, but it'll generate sentiment points. Sentiment is the cost for using a date gift. Spend some sentiment, use a gift. Simple stuff. What the pearl necklace does is it'll drain all your accumulated sentiment and grant you 1% progress towards your goal. But wait, that means that any scaling goes out the window when you make the necklace your win condition. No matter how high the point requirements are, if you use the necklace with 100 sentiment, that's a win. So then what you can do is also use 2 more gifts in the same date, the leopard print pumps and the suede ankle booties. The pumps will grant you 1 move every time you match 4 or 5 tokens at once, basically making that turn free. The booties will grant you sentiment every time you get a 4 or 5 token match. See where I'm going with this? Basically, as long as you can keep getting big matches, you can keep building up indefinitely to that win. Obviously, this is extremely unbalanced once you get to the higher difficulties, but it's still fun. And it's not like it's an easy I win button either, as you can still absolutely fail if you're careless or unlucky. But it's just so satisfying to cash in on 80+ sentiment all at once to immediately go from about to lose to clearing the gold like it's fucking nothing. Huniepop surprised me. It initially grabbed my attention for exactly the reasons you think it did, but when I actually got into it, I found a really solid game. Of course, it isn't perfect, no game is, but it's one of the best examples of a classic puzzle genre, and I find that impressive, especially once you consider that most of the technical legwork was done by a single guy. If you're into match 3 and anime titties, I'd highly recommend Huniepop. It's actually a good game, just maybe keep it to yourself if, unlike me, you have even the slightest shred of dignity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I upload every Monday, so make sure to check back in next week. Follow me on Twitter at @adstweets for updates and memes, and follow me on Twitch at adsgames to hang out with me while I edit these videos. Well, most of them. I didn't edit this one on stream for what I hope are obvious reasons, but I do stream myself editing most of my videos. Once again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next Monday.
Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no